If you are serious about leveraging machine learning, data-driven principles, and AI in your Meta Ads and Google Ads account, this is an episode of this show that you are going to like very much because it features two extremely smart guys who really understand the details of that stuff. And that is Dr. Lunev and Russ Galba from Russia coming to us on this call. Dr. Lunev has his Ph.D. in math and physics. He was literally working on supersonic aircrafts before working in Meta Ads. The guy understands math really, really well and has applied that knowledge to the fixed problem of Meta Ads, ad distribution, media buying, creative, that kind of thing. And that same mentality comes through Russ, his business partner, who is the Google Ads side of their business, who's applying that same kind of thinking and actually a developer's mindset as well. So he's building tools on top of Google Ads with AI to manage their accounts. This is the kind of stuff that I had this conversation, just thought these guys just have more intellectual horsepower than I do to apply to some of these problems at some of the technical levels. And it's really helpful to get around them, hear from them, hear what they're doing, and try to figure out how best to use it for myself and my accounts. So you're going to like this conversation a lot. Let's jump in with Andre and Russ. Dr. Andre Lunev, I always like to call you doctor. When you do that much work and time for a PhD, you should get to be called doctor in your life. You've got a PhD in math and physics. You're in Russia. Andre, say hello to the people.
Hello, my name is Andre. Thanks for having me here.
Great to do this. We've had a couple calls now. You and I have interacted on X for a long time, and I think see a lot of things very similarly. You're just a lot smarter than I am, and so I'm excited to pick your brain about how that plays itself out. Russ Galba, co-founder with Andre of your guys' agency, Tegra.co. Link for the agency is in the show notes if you want to follow up with these guys, including Andre's X account, which is a great follow. There's some other places he can point you to as well. But Russ, say hello as well. I know people need to get to know you.
Hey, Andre, and thank you for having me on the call. And I'm pretty excited to be here today.
Yeah, great. You're both in Russia, right?
Yeah, I'm actually just got back like 2 weeks ago from Brazil. Like we went there with my family. We spent a lot of time in Argentina and Brazil for about 2 years or something. So now I got back home. You know, we got a kid, in Argentina. Yeah. So, our parents just want to meet her. So we come back to spend a little bit more time here.
Awesome. All right, Andre, let's start with you. I've framed up in the intro that this call is going to, or this podcast episode is going to be very much about how you're leveraging sort of, let's just call them like advanced math and dev type tools in media buying right now. And I think it's a really interesting conversation. Before we hit record, Russ was saying that devs are like much faster on the uptick of AI than marketers. And I certainly feel that. I'm not a developer. I'm in fact extremely terrible. You may have noticed this in conversations with me at thinking in terms of dev stuff. But like, Andre, let's just start by talking about like sort of baseline approach to Meta Ads media buying. You're a big fan of bid caps. I'm a big fan of bid caps. Like before you talk about anything specific, like how are you thinking about the problem of distributing ads to people via Meta and how to get the best value out of that tool? Like what attracted you to bid caps?
Well, my take on that is that when you launch an ad, it's very hard to predict the future performance because we don't have any data points on the specific ad unit that we are currently launching. That's the first point. The second point is that with all the AI tools, the cost of production of the ad it's just gravitating towards zero. So basically, like it's now there is no difference between producing one creative, like one static image, and producing the same image with the hundred of variations. Yeah. And as a result, like if we upload a ton of those ads, we won't be literally able to test all of them with the classical approach because Meta will just waste the money on the majority of the ads because the majority of the ads fail. And the only way to run the ads that is left right now, from my perspective, is bid caps or like cost controls in general. So that's how, automating all of those parts of the processes leads to increased creative volume and much faster account growth when you can produce those ads at scale and launch them at scale.
You were a believer in cost controls before like the AI explosion happened? Because I would say, AI has obviously been on the scene for a little while, but before you and I ever talked about AI, you and I had some interactions about sort of why we both had embraced cost controls as a way to scale an ad account. Is that right?
Yeah, correct.
So can you make the case for that? Why, what attracted you to that way of thinking about meta ads? And then what have you seen since deploying it for clients of yours?
I think it came out of pain, and I would say it like that, like constant performance roller coaster. Like that's what pushed me to the idea of controlling the CPA somehow. And I remember that pivot point. So when I launch an ad and it performs for 3 days in a row, and then all of a sudden, I'm the happy media buyer that tries to scale that, like ramp up the budget by 20% or by 30%, like after 3 days. And all of a sudden, performance just tanks, and I since that moment, I started to dig deeper into your Twitter profile most of the time, and the YouTube channel, and it leads me to a point to where I just was rethinking on how to run the ad accounts, and my understanding right now is completely different from what I was experiencing. And I can share it. So from my perspective, we are trying to purchase to buy the impressions on Meta, and there is a different pool of those available impressions that will lead to conversions with a higher probability, right? So, and on weekends, as usual, we have more of those auctions that lead to conversions. Compare just Walmart on Wednesday morning and on Sunday afternoon, right? So the amount of buyers is completely different. And that Friday night case, so you my take on that. So you launch an ad in a very favorable period of time, right? So it performs great on Friday, then on Saturday, then on Sunday. Then happy media buyer thinks, it was me, that it's time to scale. I decide when to spend and where to spend. Then Monday comes, I ramp up the budget. The amount of the auctions goes down. And, that's why CPA just goes through the roof. So in this case, bid caps, they would just literally cut the spend instead of making the decisions, compared to a media buyer. So in this case, bid caps, they just pull the spend down, to the point where the conversions are still remain under the bid.
It's so funny you make that point about launching an ad in a favorable environment and then trying to scale it. That's something I've never really thought about, actually, which is funny because I've thought about this a lot. But the idea that you would launch an ad and the reason it's performing really well is actually just because you got sort of the right timing relative to the DAUs, right? Daily active users. This is something I talk about a lot with manual bids. I just saw somebody tweet this again today. They say, how come my ads always rip on Saturday and Sunday and they do bad on Monday and Tuesday? And the answer, of course, is exactly what you said. There's more available inventory at your target cost. And so the mechanism for managing that is a manual bid, which is going to scale up and down with the available volume and hold the outcome probabilistically constant, right? So the outcome's not actually going to be constant per se, but it's going to probabilistically be relatively constant based on the best information. Now, it's not a perfect system, and sometimes people will give me this critique. They'll be like, well, how can you trust the system completely? And it's I don't trust the system completely. I just trust it more than I trust me. That's the point. I trust it more than I trust me the most often. And I trust it more than I trust you and either of you guys on this call, right? Andre, with your PhD in you were working on, you were telling me before, your PhD in math and physics, you were working on the flight patterns at supersonic speeds of aircrafts before you were a meta media buyer, right? And you with that math background are sitting here telling me that you fall prey to all the same stupid mistakes that I did as a media buyer 10 years ago when I started, which is ad is working, scale it, go nuts, And that's because all of our brains do that all the time. And so it's this real challenge. So, okay, so that's your case for manual bids. You also, I want to push into this a little more. You also had a conversation recently with reps from Meta that sort of confirmed some of your inklings. Is that right? Because this is something we don't always get to hear about, is sort of Meta's side of the story and what they believe. I have had some really interesting conversations with Meta people recently as well that I'm actually not really at liberty to say much about, but I'll just say they have not changed my opinion very much on how to about deploying manual bids. So they've confirmed them, if anything. So tell me about the conversation you had and sort of some of the behind the curtains deeper dive into how the auction works and why manual bids are effective.
All right. So it was an unexpected call, to be honest. So they just reached out to me on Meta and invited to talk bid caps because all of my posts on Meta about the bidding strategies, and they basically confirmed the majority of my understanding and of the approach on how to scale the accounts on Meta, how to launch the new ads, and basically the auction concept. I can just quote. So regarding the bid caps. So they say if we take the ratio between the impression price and the expected conversion rate, we get a variable called the eCPA, expected CPA.
Yep.
And with a bid cap of $98, for instance, we will basically sell you every impressions that which your eCPA is less than $98. So basically, they are trying to sell you the all the impressions available that will probably, with a higher probability, lead to this conversion. And that's why that's basically the best way to buy the ads on Meta, because otherwise, if Meta's prediction model says that you won't be able to get those conversions, there's no point in just spending money in there compared to the lowest cost.
I just mentioned it, but my favorite use of AI tools right now on the creative side is actually not for me to tinker around with any one tool, but to instead work with my team at Behind the Scenes Studio that has scaled up my design and edit team and pull them into the process and see how I can help them leverage those tools the best. Because when Behind the Scenes Studio leverages the tools best, not only do my clients win, but all of their clients win. That's because Behind the Scenes Studio is a Philippines-based design and video editing agency with a relentless focus on meta ads creative. And that means they do a couple things really well. They, first of all, know how to edit and think in terms of advertising first. It's not just a bunch of designers and editors. It's meta ad specific creative production process. They think in terms of speed and volume the same way I do, because they actually built their process on the back of working with me as a scaled up version of essentially my approach. So if you have liked the way that I talk about creative, you want to apply a volume-based approach to your creative where you maintain a high quality, but you also do that with lots of variations, the right kinds of smart iterations on your ads, and you do that at real scale, you should be looking at Behind the Scenes Studio. Because they're based in the Philippines, they are an affordable solution for design and editing, help, whether you're an agency or a brand or freelancer or whatever. You should be getting on the phone with them and seeing if they're right for you. I love them. I trust them. I bring them into as many of my meetings with clients as possible, with AI tools as possible, to figure out how they can get more of that knowledge and keep building that process. The result is that we output a huge volume of ads for our clients really, really fast. They can do the same for you. Go to btsstudio.co, schedule a meeting, see if it's right for you. You absolutely should be exploring it. btsstudio.co. What they are confirming to you is that as long as your bid actually is at the number that you say, then if their prediction says that the expected CPA, the expected CAC, right, is at or below that bid, it will deliver to you results at or below that bid, right? According to that. Now, there's some attribution questions in there, of course, and some other issues, but basically that the machine does exactly the thing that you and I and others are saying, which is you set a target price and you say, here's the threshold at which I am willing to pay for a customer. And Meta says, yes, that's exactly what this tool is built to do. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I tend to set up the bid a little bit higher, again, because of the second point that they mentioned. We all know that Meta's auction is the second price auction. It means that, for example, if you have a bid cap of $100, right, and your competitor bids for $80, you don't have to pay $100. You have to pay $81, right? That's why I usually shift that scale a little bit up, just to make this gap closer to my desired cost. So, and this is basically all the adjustment.
This is a really important point about bid caps in particular that I think a lot of people do not actually understand. You said we all know Meta is a second price auction. I actually don't think most people know that the way Meta actually works is that when you place a bid, you actually don't get customers at that price. You get them, the way the bid works is that you get them, again, according to a probabilistic prediction, right? Because Meta can't actually predict exactly what everybody's going to do. You'll get the conversions at the second highest bid price. And so it may be actually lower than your actual threshold. Now, that means you may want to be aggressive. It's interesting. I talked a long time ago to another guy who was a quant type. He also might have had a PhD. I don't remember. But anyway, he was a quant at Open Store. It's an old interview of mine with a guy named Andrew Campbell. You can find it if you're on Spotify or Apple still. But he had pointed out this point to me. And he said, actually, some folks at Cornell had done some studies saying that sort of how to properly and most effectively handle auction bidding in a second price sealed auction is sort of a solved problem from like a game theory perspective. And what they say is that the solved problem, it is a solved problem in the sense that you should build your true reserve price, not above it, not below it, whatever. If you actually want that outcome, you should do that. So you should bid at your true reserve. So maybe he would push back a little. Now, of course, every brand's true reserve is a little different. Your brand actually may be willing to say, I'm willing to go $5 above this price occasionally if it means I get meaningfully more volume or whatever. But that basically that's the right way to think about things. So it's right around that number. And maybe if you want, you go a little above again, because almost every brand in my experience has some kind of a preference for more efficiency or more volume based on a certain amount of things, because they recognize that it's a probabilistic machine. You're going to probably miss on one side or the other. I do this all the time with manual bids. I'll say, like, for a client that is really, really conscious of hitting a number at or under their target CPA, I'll bid my true reserve price, or I'll bid a little bit lower even, and say, like, we're just going to make sure we don't overspend. For customers for clients with extremely high LTVs, where it's actually a much bigger cost to them to not get the customer, then for them, I'm going to probably bid a little bit more aggressively, et cetera. And now it may push out the window a little, a few extra days for their LTV to come through or whatever it is, but they're willing to do that at times if it means they get meaningfully more volume and meaningfully more consistent spend. So, okay.
Yeah. And
go ahead.
I just wanted to mention, like, the third point that is coming, that is following this point. So the main mistake, the most common mistake that I see media buyers make when trying to shift to bid caps is trying to force the spend towards a particular ad set or particular ad by inflating the bid too much. Yeah. So like the common statement is like, my bid caps don't spend. Okay, what to do? Let's try to inflate the bid, and they inflate it, raise up the budget, and then up with the inflated CPA. Why? Because we are just moving this limit, this threshold above, and Meta is trying to do exactly what we ask it to do, basically to find the conversions that are below that inflated bid, and that's why they start to get those initial conversions, then lower the bid down, and they lose the volume. So this is pretty like expected behavior, I would say. And usually, like, they don't pump that much volume into the ad account, and they say like that bid caps don't work just based on like 5-10 creatives, like 20 creatives. And again, with all those automation tools, it's when you can launch 300 creatives a day, like in an hour, it's not a problem when you have the volume.
Yeah, agree. And that's the thing that I think is the killer on all this, where like anybody who is not already here is going to have to get there. And this moves us to the AI portion of the conversation a little bit, because if mass production of creative, I mean, even without AI, if people are just thinking this way about creative, they're going to build systems. I mean, we were building a lot of ads before we were using much AI. And so AI is only going to accelerate that thing. But as more and more people recognize that you can build a mass volume of ads even cheaper than before, it's going to be crazy. My team, we build a huge volume of ads, and we do that especially leveraging a team of extremely good designers and video editors in the Philippines. I've talked about them a lot. We had built that system before AI became a part of it. And now what they are doing, which is already like a really cost-effective way to get really high-quality talent working on your plan, right? It's for a US-based business to outsource that to really good quality people in different countries. And so like, that's what my team does. That's how we serve our clients. I've got like 7 or 8 people in the Philippines working on 4 clients. So we can put a huge volume of output against those clients in a way that ends up being really effective for everybody. So So now you give those people AI who are already extremely smart and talented people, designers and editors, right? And all they're going to do is just increase their output more. And so, Andre and Russ, we were on a call with the team lead from that team recently. First time I met you, Russ, was because we were all working together going like, how do we make this machine hum even more? When you add all of that stuff together, you get to the point where there is no longer a world where it is possible to behave without manual bids, because there is too much creative to test and to manage the distribution. And therefore you have to have a machine do it for you. You just have to, otherwise it becomes cost prohibitive to do it. I want to actually jump over to the Google side for a second, Russ, and just ask you a question. Is there, in your opinion, an equivalent on Google where people are bidding with sort of this same sort of manual bid, target ROAS, target CPA, that is reliable and works at scale? I've always found this to be more of a challenge on Google.
No, I think first of all, Google is that kind of data-driven machine that is primarily working on top of analyzing the data and using the data correctly. Because if we'll go back, and I'm in media buying for about 12 years, I think. Initially, the way we were doing the media buying on Google was primarily utilizing manual bids on the search campaigns, right? So the first campaigns like we were running were just search campaigns, and we weren't using, and there weren't like much of a option for us back then just to use like any kind of like target ROAS or target CPA kind of automatic bidding. And when it came out, like it wasn't actually working, that well. So I think Google just started like as the engine for data-driven people to analyze the data and make it more efficient. So and now. There are a lot of accounts, coming to us, a lot of clients with accounts to do the audit. And I see that majority of the accounts actually relying on automated bidding, which is totally fine. It's so much easier to manage this kind of campaign. You just put target return not spent on the search campaigns, target return not spent on your PMAS campaigns, shopping campaigns. Probably I see more people still using manual bids compared to automatic bidding, even though, again, the majority of accounts that I see are shifting from shopping campaigns to the PMAX campaigns. So collect TLDR is that Google initially is the machine is like, demand from you understanding the data and optimizing on the data level. Now, these days, when there are LLMs, Claude, ChatGPT, Gemini, whatever AI LLMs, people prefer to use. Now the question is, like, should we manually dive deeper into the data and do the optimizations? Because if we actually go like deep into the manual bidding, then if you're running like the search campaign with exact match, mid tail to long tail search keywords, then it's really a lot of work that we need to put to adjust the bidding and everything. I know that there are tools like Optimizer that are doing this kind of stuff. It's got like more legacy kind of things that people used to use, but I think there is so much better, like more advanced approach with the LLMs. So that's what we're doing, essentially now with our Google Ads campaigns. I will try to share my screen here and just show it. Okay, so allow and this one. And again, I know that some of the people will be listening to us, so that's why I will try to, and not seeing the video, I will try to comment as much as possible. So kind of like what we're doing here is that, okay, so we have like all of these different models. We have, ChatGPT, OpenAI, we have Gemini, we have Claude, we have like all of the other things, DeepSeek, for God's sake. And, we can use like all of this just to analyze our data so we don't have to do it like ourselves. So the issue then, there is no easy way for us to pull the data automatically and propagate the data automatically for the LLM to analyze.
If you want to learn to think the same way that I think about Meta Ads accounts, certainly the same way that Andre does, and the same way that Russ does about Google Ads accounts, which is a machine learning focused, data-driven focused, profit-focused approach to all of this stuff, the best place for you to go do that is through Admission from Common Thread Collective. Admission is Common Thread Collective's way to get you all the knowledge that you need concentrated in one place so that you have a foundational knowledge set on which to build your business and your ad accounts. And that is so crucial. If more people would take Admission, and they would get serious about inhaling the course content from Admission, inhaling the webinar content with exclusive webinars with Taylor Holiday, etc., at earlier stages of their business, I would get way less DMs asking me how to implement these things in their ad accounts, how come they're losing so much money, and less DMs saying, I used to be on auto bids in my ad account, and now I switched over to manual bids, and now I'm making a bunch more money. Those DMs would come less often because people would build from the beginning with this machine learning approach. In the world of meta ads in 2025 and beyond, you need to be thinking this way because that's where everything is going. Meta is powering everything they can with more automation and more of the tools that are going to lean on machine learning and AI to distribute your ads effectively. The best place to get the information you need in up-to-date ways for your ad account and your business is an Admission from Common Thread Collective. It's a whole bunch of courses in one place, exclusive webinars, and ongoing coaching with media buyers who know how to build these setups in your ad account. If you sign up through my link, which is in the show notes, you can get that first coaching call for free. Go join Admission, especially if you're earlier seven figures or anywhere below that, especially if you're there. Fire your agency, maybe not, but go consider running your ads yourself with help from the people at Admission. You'll save money, you'll build a more effective ad account, and you'll set yourself up for the most success for building a profitable e-commerce business. Go to Admission, join today.
So it's kind of like what the thing that we are trying to achieve here. And there's some of the solutions, actually one of the solutions that I will show, and we also have the proprietary solutions for this as well. But, for the folks just to, see themselves, there's this tool called advisor.com. So what they're doing, they're just build the connectors for Google Ads, for Meta Ads, for Shopify, for Klaviyo, for Google Analytics, and a bunch of the other things, WooCommerce, etc., which is like not our domain of the expertise, and allows to pull all of the data automatically. And it's pulling the data, all of the data available. So it's pulling all of the metrics available and all of the breakdowns available. So now there's very interesting situation. Okay, so we're pulling all of this information into the LLM, and we know that LLMs are very powerful in analyzing the data. And now what we can do, there are two things pretty much. We can either use just a standard chat where this data source is pulled into, and we can start asking the questions to this chat, like, okay, so just pull the data, this data, just analyze the search campaign, just analyze this whatever PMAX campaign, etc. I can pull like everything from Google Ads. Or there is another approach is that, we can start building the custom ChatGPT chats. I don't know like if people know that, but there's like OpenAI ChatGPT capabilities doesn't end on the just using the chat and asking the questions. So you can actually build your custom ChatGPT things that wired the way that you want it to work. You can just put like all of the parameters over there, like what you want to analyze, how you want to analyze. What we also interesting thing what we do is that this is another tool. We analyze Reddit for all of the recent Google Ads content that people we know that are very knowledgeable in the niche putting into, and we're pulling all of those life hacks, optimization tricks, and everything into our custom ChatGPT, so it can analyze all of the new accounts or current accounts on the recurring basis and just provide like additional insights, more and more insights, what's working currently. Because Google is changing. Google is, and again, I don't know if I will get in trouble by saying that, like Meta and Google businesses are businesses that generate the money for their shareholders. So sometimes these companies are doing the things that I personally, like as media buyer, actually see that are created specifically just to get more money out of the advertisers. Like, for example, and again, just a lot of people just don't know that actually, and maybe it's a good time for them to check that. In Google Ads, there is automatically created assets. So there was the option on the campaign level where you can just turn off automatically created assets like images or videos or search or site link extensions, like all the different stuff. But if you turn off that one, there is another hidden one that is inside of the Google Ads account that actually creates this automatically created assets. And I don't know, it's just like it's silly to say that those automatically created assets that are just getting some spend they're not performing really well. So again, just long story short, we're just pulling like all of this very relevant data to what's happening with the Google Ads right now from the leaders of opinions, for people we trust, and then we put it into this custom ChatGPT bot, and then again you can use like this AdsVisor tool. It's just pulling all of the available data from the Google Ads account and provide you all of the optimization points or stats or whatever. Again, this is LLM. We can just go ahead and just ask it whatever. So this is like, for example, one of the things that one of the accounts, got analyzed in here. So as you can see, we can also like compare it to Claude if you want in here as well. So it's just pulling all of the campaigns and provide us like actionable top level insights, what can be changed, what can be optimized. And it's pretty thorough, just going through all of the search campaigns, PMAX campaigns, shopping campaigns, demand generation campaigns, display campaigns, whatever you have on the account. And then what you can do, you can just go ahead and just start to follow up with the additional questions, like in regards to every point of it. So that's kind of like what we do. And why I was mentioning this approach is that, especially when you work with the manual bidding, with multiple search campaigns, with exact, mid to long tail keywords, it's a mess to optimize everything by hand. So that's where it's really good to pull everything in one place, give LLM the opportunity to analyze the data and provide you the actionable insights. So that's pretty cool. Another thing,
Russ, you're actually doing that then through the lens of, like, you're taking, if I understand correctly, you're taking insights from really smart Google Ads folks, elsewhere that you believe in and trust, and basically feeding that information to the LLM and then having that analyze your account. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yes, that is correct. So we have like a foundation that we know based on our previous audits that we've done, whatever we learned like so far, we just feed all of this to LLM again and just ask it to create like a list of the parameters for our custom ChatGPT bot to work on. And then what we're using is that, we are just parsing all of the data from Reddit. And again, I can show like some of the tools that we could use like to do that and automate that as well, to get like all of the relevant. So that's why like all of the relevant information in regards to Google Ads. So that makes this system dynamic. So it's you know what's happening. Your chatbot in ChatGPT knows what's happening right now on the edge of the Google Ads, and it just automatically gets that and analyze your accounts based on this new information as well.
Russ, do you have any examples of a time where that has been like that? You probably can't share specific numbers or whatever from clients, but I'm curious to hear if that has like worked. Have you found times where that has led to some kind of insight that's been useful to you, or Andre, if you've done something similar on the meta side or anything like that? Go ahead, Russ.
Yeah, I mean, like, on the Google Ads side of things, like, it's just very hard to underestimate like how powerful like just analyzing the data from the search campaigns can be, because you can get all of the metrics. Like, for example, you could have like 300 keywords right now running over there, and to get all of the stats from all of the keywords and analyze them and just find like where you overbid, where you underbid. And again, I'm just talking specifically about manual bidding campaigns, for example. If that's the case, and someone is using manual bidding campaigns, and it can compare like all of this data inside of one campaign and across multiple campaigns that you're running, just to find some specific some keywords that underperform on the different time frames level. For example, this keyword was running pretty well for the past 3 months, but in the past 2 weeks, for example, it doesn't perform anymore. It doesn't perform anymore. So these things like are very hard to across multiple keywords just to find yourself, and you need to spend a lot of time on it. When with this, you can actually get this data really fast. Another thing that we constantly doing for some of our clients is that we're analyzing the shopping campaigns and PMAX campaigns on the per product level, because majority of our clients are e-commerce businesses, and for e-commerce businesses, majority of the spend goes towards shopping placements, either through shopping campaigns or PMAX campaigns. So for us, it's really important to analyze the performance of each product products that we are running. And the tricky part there is that usually we run like different dimensions of the shopping categories or shopping or products on the shopping placements, and they are either divided in the asset groups inside of PMAX campaigns or in the separate PMAX campaigns. We are running like the same products, so it's very hard to combine all of this data and find underperformers, because in one asset group, one product can underperform, but it can perform really well, like on another one, for example, but it's not statistically significant. And you need to spot that. And across, some of the stores where we have 1,000 products, for example, it's really hard to do. And that's where LLMs are really great. They can just parse through the data like in a matter of a minute or two and get you all of the information that you need. So it's hard to give like a specific example. It's just like whatever account pretty much you feed into this thing, it will show you your winners, your losers across different dimensions, across different campaigns combined for the products. The same for the keywords. So and so also that applies for
Russ, isn't that what Google is already trying to do? So this is one of the questions I have about this. Like, it sounds like you've built a machine on top of Google's machine, and you said earlier that Google has maybe different incentives than you do. And I think this is one of the funny things is like, I have a very high trust in Meta's alignment with my goals to deliver my ads to the best possible customers. Like, in my experience, that's been true. And I've seen that play out. I don't have that trust with Google. I found Google often to be something where it seems like money gets blown in ways that are not actually best for me. PMAX, I think, is like an incrementality mess. And other people have said the same thing. Is that the reason why you're doing that? Essentially that, like, Andre, you're talking about running manual bids, like, bid caps and everything. But Russ, you're like, I'm building a machine on top of Google's machine so I can check Google's machine. Am I stating that correctly?
It's kind of, but neither Meta or Google, as you said, incentivize. Like, to some extent, it's incentivized to make the results good, but also it's business to get the money from the advertiser. So it's their best interest to give you the result that you are happy, but not to the extent where it's 100% out of 100%. So it still needs the operator in place just to operate as it should. So for Google Ads, I think, if there's some Google Ads media buyers watching us, like it's very common when in the shopping campaign or PMAX campaign, Google continues to spend a lot of money on the product that is actually not performing and just forget or give so much less spend to the products that are not performing. It's very common. And if you do not you will not go and just fix that and turn off that product that doesn't perform, it will continue doing so. Yes, it's very smart machine. Like and Google is getting so much smarter, and Meta becoming so much smarter as well. But it's still not there to be fully automatic. Otherwise, like, we wouldn't be, and maybe like at some point we will be relevant as well, like as the operators of these machines. That the only thing is that you just give, like, I just need the sales for this amount of money, just give me that, etc. And maybe it will be in a way that actually it creates that the black box where media buyer cannot do anything. And this is kind of what's happening with the PMAX campaigns as well. There is some extent of the freedom that you have still, but it's kind of like black box in a way. So maybe we'll go that direction. But until we can pull like better results for our clients, until those machines are either become black boxes or they become so efficient that we are not needed, we just continue to do that. And I'm not seeing that like in nearby future, even though I can expect that it can happen like at some point. And I would just vouch for probably black box forced approach, and not the full like that the machine is getting like so smart that the human is not needed in there. I just think these companies will be just closing the levers for us to intervene. There's also like one thing that one tool that I want to just throw in, like in regards to this as well. Like, if people don't want to mess up with these connectors and everything, there's very interesting tool, which is, I don't know, again, and I was telling this a lot earlier and before our call, is that I think the developers are so much on the edge right now in terms of using AI, why marketers are falling behind badly. I think marketers are, in a way, how we know it, without using AI tools, just becoming obsolete. It's very clear for me right now, and I think that's what's going to happen. Like in the next maybe like year, maybe two, maybe even faster. We will see, and it also will depend on how many media buyers actually embrace the approach of using AI in the work that they do, right? So that's why learning AI, learning how to use these tools, learning how to connect things as well, together, glue them together, which we were doing like for a long time. For example, in the past as well, through the tools like Make or Zapier, for example, which is getting so much more advanced right now. Like for example, like this is the one that we were using like a lot, but now there are alternatives like Gumloop, for example, just to automate everything, but with the sprinkle of the AI. You can just modify the data in the middle, your endpoints, like as much as you want. Either it's like form submissions on your landing page that you're running for your, I don't know, like giveaway that you're doing, like whatever you're doing can be augmented with the AI to make it so much better. And there are tools for that, or just using like N8N, like for example, this is a great tool for AI workflow automations. But getting back to what I just said, like in regards to the optimizations on the Google Ads side of things, there are two actually. There's Manus AI, which is developers are embracing like crazy right now. It's still invitation only, which is like makes it a little bit hard to get hands on. But there is another one called Cider, which is pretty cool, which is like installing as the extension of the browser, and it gets access to your viewport of the browser, being Google Ads account, being Merchant account, Merchant Center account, Google Analytics account, and you can actually inquire what you want to do or what kind of insights you want to get from whatever, like in your viewport. Pretty much, it could be like just a YouTube video. It can do that as well. But for the marketers, I think that's important to learn how to use this stuff too. And you can do it like with this one, which is like pretty affordable as well, and it doesn't need any kind of like backend connections or something like that. You can just get data from your browser. That's pretty much it. So that will be pretty easy.
I think you're right. And the thing I feel as you share all that is just sort of overwhelmed. I'm not a developer. I'm not going to be a developer anytime soon. And the challenge is, which of these things do I embrace versus not? I'm going to have a conversation after this call with Alex Cooper, who leads a creative agency. And, Alex is a fascinating guy because he's extremely AI forward. He's really actively building these tools in. And sorry, Russ, you can probably kill your screen share now.
Sure.
And so it's at the creative level, he is extremely AI forward, and we're going to talk about this. And at the same time is like, I think ugly ads are going to work better now than ever before because feeds are about to get absolutely hammered with AI created stuff. And so stuff that feels even more authentic and ugly is maybe going to be where this ends up going. Now, I don't know exactly what I think of that, because at the same time, Alex is generating a huge volume of ads for people and sees the value of like thinking about, as Taylor Holiday has said, think about your ad creative production like a supply chain, right? Where you're trying to make every part of it better, faster, and cheaper. That's the goal. The more you can do that, the better your supply chain works. Andre, I'm curious to hear you talk a little bit more about this back on the meta ad side now, sort of like what are the kind of key things? We've only got a few minutes left, but what are the key ways you're actually using AI? If this is the framework, right? Leveraging manual bids, leveraging the power of AI to do this. What are some of the actual brass tacks way that you are using AI for your clients now, and how do you expect to do that going forward? Well, that people can learn from and replicate.
Yeah. So the first idea is not even to just use the AI, is to understand the processes first that you want to automate, and then automate them. So, for example, like if you just switch your video editing pipeline into a modular approach. So, for example, imagine you have a long form video or 1 minute video, like doesn't matter. So you can split it into hook first, like 3 to 5 seconds, then lead part, which just filters the audience, and the body part with the product introduction, like with the unique mechanism of solving the problem. So like imagine you just split this approach and you produce 10 hooks 10 leads and one body part with the explanation. Like, it's so much faster for the video editor to come up with 10 hooks and 10 leads and one body part compared to like rendering all the stuff together. Then with the AI, you can just mix and match them in a matter of minutes and get 100 creatives out of 20 assets. Right, so you just mix and match all of them and like attach the body part, and you have 100 of assets that are ready to launch. And if you just want to double this volume, you just create one extra body part or double the amount of hooks, right? So this is the first point. The second point, again, if you have the winning hooks, you can automatically apply it to every creative in the ad account. Like, this is basically how, like, one of our best case studies when we scale the brand from $40,000 of spend on manual bidding to more than $200,000 of spend in a matter of 1.5 months. So we just took all the creatives, like found the winning hooks, slapped them in the beginning of each video creative there, and relaunched it. So like 10x the creative production, and the brand grown more than 6 times in a matter of 1 month, 1.5 months.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
The second point is there are also tools, like we also build those that can apply the text on the image. Like, it's not that technically hard, but still, if you have this process in place, when you just design one template, you have the Google spreadsheet, and the tool just applies the text on a specific area. You know, I can come up. I've shown you this tool like in a video, like, which I've sent you, so you understand how it works. But basically, multiplying the amount of the creatives by 100, by 1,000 is not an issue right now. Yeah. So templating the approach, and then just applying the tone of variations, text variations of that. And with these ChatGPT tools, producing templates became so much easier. And the third one is the creative uploading thing. Like, I've built a tool, like we will be releasing it very soon with Russ. So they're like final testing, because so many things to test, like from the quality standpoints, that like to make sure that the process doesn't break. So I literally feed it with thousands of creatives, and I just set up the number of ads per ad set that I want to launch. I have the presets there. So the client, the offer, so it automatically pulls the link to the product, the primary text headline, bidding settings, like age settings, and so on and so on. So I basically drag and drop the creatives into the tool, and it uploads that on the back end and creates the campaigns like in a switched off mode. And like, the only thing that is left for me is just to switch on the campaign in the ad account. So I fired the media buyers.
And you launched those all with, you launched them all with manual bids, and you make your team a lot faster and cheaper. Now, what I think, you just said you fired your media buyers. I think there's another element of this, which is that, like, what we're starting to do is take our most talented people. We haven't fired anybody yet. Like, what we're looking at is like, what happens when you give really smart and talented people these tools to move faster and put their minds on other things, you know? It becomes. They should, I don't know. We've found it to be helpful.
Yeah, they, like, media buyers, they should just become creative strategists, more of the creative strategists, because like the era of test then scale approach is already gone. Yeah, I know, like many folks are claiming, like, I have this like huge spending ad account, like on the lowest cost. Yes, you can. But if you like go in the breakdowns and try to understand which conversions were actually under your bid, right? Like, probably it's not that significant. Yeah, you can ramp up the bid and like end up with the same outcome with the inflated CPA. Like, if you need volume, of course. But I think it's more rational way to do that with infinite creative volume and controls.
All right, guys, thanks. Great conversation. I appreciate so much you guys coming and bringing knowledge of some of these things that you guys are doing that are pretty advanced right now. I'm really curious to see how this gets democratized for those of us who don't have PhDs in math and physics and are or developers like Russ to be able to use this kind of stuff. But yeah, thanks so much for your time, guys. All right, I hope you enjoyed that conversation. Don't forget to follow up with Andre and Russ. The links for where to do that with their agency are in the show notes. But if you need help with your ad account, they are taking on clients. You can reach out to them and see if they're the right fit for you. You can also follow Andre on X. He does a lot of their content. His content's really great. You should go follow him. I followed him for a long time, interacted with him a whole bunch. If you want more detailed breakdowns of how things like bid caps work and some of that, Andre at this point articulates that stuff as well as anybody else out there. So go do that. Don't forget to follow up also with Behind the Scenes Studio for ad creative production, btsstudio.co, and Admission to, if this conversation at points is over your head, Admission is the place to start. Go deeper on those things. Again, go to the link in the show notes there, or just tell them that I sent you your admission.co, and they will get you free coaching calls so that you can get access to really good media buyers who can coach you in your ad account at a really reasonable cost, which actually starts off as free through my link. So you're going to want to follow up with both of those. Thanks so much. I have so many good episodes coming up, including an incredible conversation with Alex Cooper that will release next week at the time that this episode is released, to go get really serious about AI and creative. Alex is probably the best thinker I know of right now at thinking about the intersection of AI and creative for meta ads specifically. Really, really smart guy, and it's a really good conversation. You're not going to want to miss that. So make sure to subscribe wherever you are watching or listening. You can see everything else I'm doing at ajfgrowth.com and follow me on X at Andrew J. Ferris. I'd also love to hear from you. Email me at podcast@ajfgrowth.com. Thanks so much for watching and listening. I'll see you next time.